Righty. Let's talk about personal transformation. This is something that I've never really gotten into. I've never talked about, never even brought up. Maybe in some of my earlier content, maybe I got into this. But if you want to facilitate success, change, you want to have a better life, you're going to have to undergo a personal transformation, which means that you won't be the person that you are today. That's where you're going to have to take it. This is where you're going to have to go. This is where you're going to have to create and facilitate the new person. Because when you undergo a personal transformation, you change your habits. You change a lot of the little hiccups, the little holdbacks, and the mental loops, because we're going to be talking a good deal about mental loops. Because one of the things that you have to understand is how you talk to yourself is very, very important. The self-governance, the self-verbiage, because, personal transformation is so important, and you will have to transform. You won't make yourself a little bit better. You will turn yourself inside out and create different mindsets, different thought patterns, different ways of dealing with situations. You'll make yourself immensely strong. And this is one of the things that happens with personal transformation. It is so important for you to understand what is going to go down with personal transformation. All right, let's do a little housekeeping. All right, if you need help, like today was Consulting Tuesday, it went well. So next Tuesday, I will be doing it again. So if you want to talk to me, hit the Consulting Tuesday. Also, Money Management is the Basics of Finance and Wealth Development is on a 6-pay, and I have other courses, The Art of Holding, The Hustlers, LLC, H Undergrad are all on payment plans. The links are below this video. And with a payment plan, you go ahead and set it up in PayPal and give me up to 24 hours to add you to the courses and stuff. Because I've had some misunderstandings about that because people think it's instantaneous. Art of Holding is on the payment plan. And I think there's some other stuff. All this stuff is below the video to help you transform, to help you be better. Because I'm going to talk about the personal transformation I went through and how it was intentional. It was contrived. This is something that I intended to do because I did not like the results that I was getting. So I had to transform. So the first thing that I had to transform was how I related to the world. I was very insular. It was more about, why aren't these people opening and welcoming to me? And I had to get over that because there are many people who's like, hey, why don't they come to me? I let that go. I remember the first time I had success with that was I was dealing with women, because typically I've been very fortunate in life that women would come on to me. I could get a girlfriend without a lot of effort, but I couldn't get the hotter chicks because they required more work and more effort. So I remember it was on blackplanet.com, and there was this baddie. She was bad as all get out. And I went for her, and she wasn't giving me any feedback. Email her, she wouldn't respond. Then when I got to her phone, text her, she wouldn't respond for hours. And the whole time I'm like, bump this chick. She ain't all that. And then when I got her, I learned the power of taking yourself, because I took me out of the process. Because typically it used to be if a girl wasn't giving me any rhythm, she didn't show strong interest, I was out of there. And this time I just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. And this was one of the first transformative moments that I had, because I remember the first time she came to my house and she spent the night. Man, that was some of she almost put the yippy dog on me. I was like, good Lord, goodness gracious. She's got some crazy stuff going on here, right? And because I took me out of the situation and I focused on her, which was the objective, I got the objective. And then I started to do this with other things in my life because I was just too self-involved, too much waiting for feedback. And one of the things, and this is something to help you, I didn't wait for feedback. I went forward. I moved forward. And that has been a very big and beneficial change in my life. Because typically waiting on feedback, and it's kind of like buying a storage unit, but not buying another one until you sell everything. And that was kind of like the waiting for feedback. And from a business standpoint, I learned that was not good. That wasn't good at all. It was very bad because of missed opportunities. And it got me to thinking, how many of these opportunities did I miss before? And I started to realize that I was in my way. I was in my own way. I was getting in the way of success because I was too personally involved, waiting on feedback, waiting on approval, waiting on validation. And I got rid of that stuff, and boy, did life change. So, first lesson. No waiting on feedback. And the second lesson is to press forward on faith. And so these were two pivotal transformative changes that I made, because the whole time the old me was fighting with the new me. Like with the chick. Man, bump this chick. She ain't that fine. Yeah, she was. And this was one of the first times that I went after a woman and I got exactly what I wanted. And I remember that feeling from the first time, and I was like, this is nice. Because, fellas, when you're with somebody you want to be with, don't you stare at them at night? Don't it make you feel good to be around them? So I had a lot of delayed gratification, because typically I would go for the low-hanging fruit. And when I applied myself, I got a stunner, I got a star, I got someone that was like a showpiece. She was like a little trophy. So I was able to get what I wanted. And there are many of you out there, you are getting in your own way. Background, how you were raised, the narrative scripts you have in your mind, things, your self-talk, your self-perception, all of these are working against you. Like they was working against me. So once you get around that, and first of all, you have to be bluntly honest during this process. You have to be atrociously honest and with your self-talk, with your self-governance, because once you start to get that level of honesty and then get personal change and start to transform, because see, you must transform the person, the inner person, for all this outer stuff to change. So I started getting more women and I started to get more money. Because Black Planet days were around the same time I got hired at Rent-A-Crate. And one of the things, and the hoteps are going to gash their teeth, I made this promise to myself, and it was part of transformation, that I wasn't going to bring the black stuff through the door with me in my new sales career. I was like, if I don't get the deal, I did something wrong. I took full 100% accountability of it. And because I took that attitude, I got a lot of deals. And then walk in the room with a chip on my shoulder. I didn't walk in the room looking for other black folks. And once I was able to understand that, because that was super effective. And then when I was at business environments, I got slapped in the face with racism. And because I haven't seen it and I hadn't dealt with it so long, I was kind of numb to it until later when I was like, this joker, he said this. But by having full 100% accountability and behaving as if I wasn't black, and this isn't to say I don't like being black, because you can't say this to prickly black folks who, if you ain't gonna die for being black, you ain't black enough. But getting rid of that element made a tremendous amount of success for me. And, you know, once again, if you're a woman, you need to take the I'm a woman label off. If you're black, you need to take the black label off and be a person. Once again, I'm just relaying to you what happened to me and the personal change and the stuff that I saw, the things that I began to transcend. There was transformation, and that was transcending my background. Now, let's talk about background. I was raised in the South with a particular set of upbringings: church, hard work, selflessness, and humility. And none of those things really served me well in my new transformation. None of that stuff helped me. And even as a kid, there was part of me that wasn't going to maintain the status quo. Because I didn't want to work in a coal mine. I didn't want to work in the steel mill. I didn't want to work at the Jim Dandy grits factory. My mother used to bring home, she was a domestic, and she used to bring home these National Geographics. And I would see this big, beautiful world out there. And I was like, I want to get out there. I want to see it. I want to be part of this. I want to go places. And part of this was because I didn't go through the transformation as a child, because I was still going through my upbringing. And I had to regurgitate a lot of my upbringing to become the person that I am today. And a lot of folks, that's going to be so hard, because you are proud of your upbringing, even though it will not serve you in having the life that you want. I'll give you an example. You run up, especially up north, New York, Massachusetts, you'll have family members where everybody's a fireman or everybody's a cop, because they have decided Being a cop is what's good for me. And if you're my son, being a cop is good for you. So this is almost like positional leadership. So once again, I had to regurgitate and get rid of this stuff. And it was hard because there were some good people who raised me. There were some beautiful people who raised me, who worked with me. So part of the transformation, and I was at odds because as I started to actively transform, I was fully aware of how my previous response would come in, because that was almost on autopilot. That was like, hey, it would just come out and act upon, activation. I remember I was dealing with this chick, and she was cute as the day is long. And I was dealing with her in a very rough, very manly, very fresh way. And she ate it up. And part of me was like, why are you talking to her like that? Why are you being this way? And that was the old me trying to clip the wings of the new me. Because the old me, if you say and do this and that, you're going to get these results, which you don't like. So I'm over here doing this newfangled thing, and I'm getting crazy results. That night she spent the night, and there was this situation that happened where she was in the middle of blowing me, and she just stopped, cocked her head, and said, "Are you sleeping with anyone else?" And the transformative side of me went ahead and said, "Of course, I am." And I just pushed her head back on my dang-a-lang, and she went back to work. And I was just sitting there like, I was honest, because the thing is, really, I wasn't sleeping with anyone else. But I wanted to, and if the opportunity came up, I was going to do it. So I was being prophylactically honest, because I was like, we just met. You cute as the day is long, but we just met. I'm not locking down Mr. Good Stuff. And, she spent the night and she did it again in the morning. And I was sitting there because it was Saturday, and I was like, what happened last night? Because the old me was having a hard time dealing with this newfound success. It was very tangible because I have a good memory, and I was just sitting there. You were this dude last night. You got these kind of results, but the old dude was still there trying to get out. It was like, let me out. Let me be a good guy. Let me be the nice guy. Let me be the sensitive guy, right? And typically those results were very stale. They weren't good. And this was long before I understood the stuff that I teach in the Dominant Male course, the biology. See, as a nice guy, you don't do anything to stimulate her biological buttons. Nothing. And that's what I was doing. I was like, Mr. Nice Guy, hey, how you doing? You want to ride to the airport? I'll take you. Just Captain Save 'em. And I was doing all of this stuff just to be considered a nice guy, and it was getting me further and further away from my true objectives. Honey Bunny, as a man thinketh, so is he. If you believe you can and believe you can't, either way you're right. Limiting mindset definitely limits your results. Very true. Oh, each sense, Joseph Murray, that would awakened the beast, because I knew the power of the proper mindset. But once you get into this transformation stuff, because habit is more important than strength of will, because your habits are just going to happen. Your habits are like carved into your personage. So you have to get down to the root cause of habits and create new habits, which takes some time. Salinchi, nice guys don't even get crumbs. Mike Ely, you got to be an actor to get ahead. Yes and no. I wasn't acting because I was acting in real life. I was modeling. I was modeling the behavior of successful men. And what happens is the longer you do it, it becomes a habit. So, and this is one of the things, Mike, you're going to have to deal with. If you're going to try to change and you feel that the programming that's already there is sacrosanct, it shouldn't be changed, you're going to have a hard time reprogramming yourself and going through transformation. Because this is why, because once again, when people raise you, there's a certain amount of pride, there's a certain amount of love, there's a certain amount of good stuff that I had to really pull out a lot of that Southern Baptist gentleman stuff because it wasn't working for me. It just wasn't working. And once I made this transformation, and this was just the personal transformation with me dealing with women. I'm getting ready to flip your wigs. Once I got in business, I became a shark. I became I developed a killer instinct, which I didn't have. I remember there was one time I was sitting in this client's office and she and her husband was going, well, what do you think? What do you think? And I just went in and said, congratulations, let me write up this order. I made the decision for them to buy this furniture. And they were like, okay. Once you understand humans, and the more that you understand about yourself, the easier it is to understand other humans if you're coming from a position of truth. And this is why you got to be bluntly honest. Because when you're bluntly honest, whoa, Nelly, what's going to happen is going to be crazy. It's going to be, because once you understand universal law and the metaphysical and the power of your subconscious mind, it's going to change how you govern yourself, how you self-talk to yourself. Because one of the things that I used to do whenever I was in sales, and I would go to a customer's appointment, I always have something feeding my soul playing on the radio. It wasn't podcast back then, but I would have Brian Tracy, I would have Neural Nightingale, because I had all these things in my car, and I would be listening to this stuff, feeding the proper information to my mind when I went on these appointments. So I came in, I was hot, I was loose, I was ready because I had prepped myself. And this is one of the things you will learn through the transformative process. You will learn how to prep yourself to be successful, because there's many people talk about success in the abstract terms like nice car, nice house, nice looking wife. And that's just like surface stuff. That's the results of success. That's not real success. Real success is being up to 2 o'clock in the morning, working on a sales presentation that you got to give at 8 o'clock. That's the stuff that gets you to being successful. That's the stuff that awakens the beast within. Because as I started to understand, in Earl Nightingale's Lead the Field and The Power of Subconscious Mind, those were my 2 textbooks for this process. Because I would go back to Earl, I would go to the subconscious of the power of subconscious mind, and I would reformat myself to take action. And this is very important for transformation. You must take massive action. Like if you're a guy and you want to get better at dating, triple the number of women you ask out and you'll get better at dating. You'll get better at approaching. Massive action is what's required for you to become good at a new thing. You got to do it. AKWB. So listen to Lead the Field while I'm in my 9 to 5. It helps me even focus, even though I'm on a plantation. Hey, you got to feed your mind good quality stuff. Now, another thing that happened during the transformation phase is I expanded my concept of money because I came from a very poor family. You know, and the other side of the family were like the Cosby kids. Who I thought they were all rich. But when I did that deal with JDA, I was like, man, I could make thousands of dollars in a day. This was an expansion of my money concept. And hear me and hear me well. If you never expand your money concept, you're not going to make the money you want to make. You're not. You must expand. You must say, I could make $50,000 a month. I deserve $50,000 a month. You got to push on that because this is the reason that the average income in this country is 28 to 32K. Most folks, like take for instance, the art of holding. I am giving people the keys to the castle. However, I'm giving people who are not in full possession of all of the information. Because, like, I can give the art of holding to some African kid, and he ain't gonna be able to do it. Because he doesn't have the framework, he doesn't have the environment, he doesn't have the support system. He doesn't know the language. There's so many things that are wrong with that. And a big part of that is being able to understand the topic, understand the subtext, understand the nuance, because I'm an American. And if I gave this little African kid this course, I'd be setting him up for failure because he's not mentally prepared for the course work. And once again, because, the expansion of the money concept is huge. It's really huge because, you hear certain formulas. $10,000 a month is something that a lot of people preach because that's $120,000 a year. That's very attainable and very easy to maintain, but that's just a limit because they're like $10,000 a month agency. You charge them $2,000. You got 5 clients. Once again, when you start to get into higher income, the money expansion concept in your mind will make all the difference. Will make all of the difference because that deal with JDA, because that month I made like $180,000 between JDA and my other stuff that was coming in. And I was swimming in money. First time in my life, I was able to blow money, still save money, and have money. First time in my life that I had money coming in like that. And this is why I tell you guys, make more money. Because everyone has a limit where the money's going to come flush. Like if you're from the Midwest, you make $32,000. If you get your income up to $150,000, you're going to feel rich. You will feel rich because that's a big jump for you. And that was a big jump for me because I was like, this is some good stuff here. This is some good stuff here because we've expanded our money concept and immediately the money came in. Because this is why a lot of you guys are struggling. You don't think you can make X dollars. You think it's too hard. You don't think it's possible. You have a mental block on the amount of money that you can bring into your life. And that mental block is very real. It is a craziness. It's a certain level of self-sabotage, because no one's telling you to open up your mind, to expand your money concept, and also to position yourself in a pipeline, in a cash flow stream. You want to position yourself very close to a cash flow stream, because you got people out here who have the aptitude to be doctors. They're working as dentists. They're working as electricians. Once again, you should always push yourself to do more. The more that you push yourself to do more, the greater the transformative process will be. Because once again, some people mentioning some books and stuff in the chat, bump a book. Books are good. Find a few good books that speak to you, read them, inhale them, and don't get caught up in gathering knowledge. Get caught up in doing activities. This real estate investor that I met who had 4 houses, she just took action. She's like, we were just talking about stuff, and she said, wow, you've studied this more than I did. I just started buying houses. That's what she said. I started buying houses. Had positive cash flow from all her rental properties of $3,400 per month. Positive cash flow from her 4 rental properties, $3,400 per month. That replaces a lot of income, and she had a job. She was making some bank at her job. And I just listened to what she said. I did not study. I just took action. And to transform, to move to the next level, you got to take a lot of action. You got to be about it. You got to get it. You got to take action. Taking action is one of the most important things you can do. Because taking action is what gets you results. So many people do not take action. So many people are half-stepping. They're not taking action. Because once I learned all of this stuff about the killer instinct, body language, I started to become more and more successful. I started to have more and more money in my life. I started to have more and more women in my life. I started because I was taking action, and I was pushing myself to grow as a person. This is one of the things goes big and audacious. They gotta kind of scare you a little bit. Like my goal of $1 million a month, that's pretty scary. That's why I gotta get back on my Facebook ads course and start deploying some more ads, because I actually stopped a lot of stuff right now. And because once again, you have to make yourself uncomfortable to transform. Because as long as you're comfortable, you're operating in an environment that you can easily accomplish. It's like, oh, I can do that. This is well within my abilities. That ain't going to get you to transform, player. Operating within your abilities, that's going to just keep you the same. When you start to stretch yourself, when you start to increase the game, man, I remember I was flirting with this girl at work. And I used to be a very adventurous person. And I was just like, well, I'll not come up there this weekend. I didn't know what she looked like. And everybody was like, You know, she got that sweet voice. You know, she a big girl. You know, she a big girl. And, you know, I was flirting with her and everything. So I go up to North Carolina, Greyhound. She meets me. The Greyhound station had a gravel parking lot. And there's this cute little girl by this blue truck. And I went out and I was like, Alicia? Hey. I was like, yeah. Once again, taking action. Going out and doing. Because, you know, one of the first steps to transformation is understanding it's going to be hard. Going in the door is going to be hard. It's going to take a lot out of you. It's going to take you making moves. And this is one of the things, like, you know, when people with a business, a lot of people are kind of shocked that it's so hard to start a business. And the degree of starting a business doesn't change. You just become stronger. You transform. You take on the attributes of the person who can do the job. So part of this is massive action. You've got to take massive action. You got to push yourself. And you have to go forward with vigor and gusto. That's a big, big part of this, of the transformative process. Because, like, you know, the whole thing with the nice guy and the what do you want to call it? The not so nice guy. I mean, over decades, it still surprises me how many men don't understand that the nice guy frame doesn't biologically push buttons in women. It just doesn't. Starting a business isn't hard. It's carrying the responsibility of doing things in the business and more responsibility. Oh, it's a lot more responsibility. You got things that will come to you, things that will happen that will shock you. And once again, this is the transformation process. Because every time I say everybody needs a business, I'm always hearing everybody can't run a business. That's not true. Most people are not prepared to carry on starting a business isn't hard. It's carrying the responsibility of doing things in the business and much more responsibility. That's the hiccup. Nice guy versus the jerk. Obama was nice. Mike, Obama was not nice. Obama gave the order to kill bin Laden. That's not a nice guy. Obama was not nice. That's the image you got. You cannot become the president of the United States for 2 times and be a nice guy. You got to be aggressive. You got to be a pit viper. You can't get to that level being nice, bro. It ain't going to happen. And this is one of the things that of dealing with truth and dealing with the reality. Because when you start to look at people in truth and accept people for being human, this makes you all kinds of powerful. Because you're not hung up. Like, you ever hear somebody that was dating somebody and found out that they had another kind of life, that maybe they were a gamer or something, and it just completely changed this person's image of that person because they got new information. Even though this was the same person, they're like I'll give y'all one. Like, take the dominant male page. I had this one asswipe who was talking about, take this page down, get a job, and come out the closet. And there's a lot of men who have a problem with dominance. because they know they'll never be dominant. So they would try to mock it. They'll try to shame it. And I just let him have it. I told him what I thought of him. And I'm just like, dude, I run $1 million business. I don't need a job. But see, part of this is anyone who was really looking at me in truth would see that there's something special. However, casual keyboard warrior, he looked like me. Therefore, we must be the same. They don't have the ability to properly assess me, nor are they interested in living in truth, nor are they interested in looking at all of the things that make me me. They're just like, I'm on the internet. This page disturbs me. It bothers me. I don't even know why it bothers me, but it does. And I'm going to attack it. Obama was civil, but he wasn't nice. The most ruthless people are those who wear suits and wear holy emblems. Yeah, Obama couldn't be nice and be the president of the United States 2 times in a row. Never was going to happen, man. It was never going to happen. So another thing that you got to put into your transformative toolbox is self-reflection. And I used to keep a journal. And one time my wife and we had reconciliated, and she found one of my journals and she's like, who is this person? I'm like, that's me. And because she was used to looking at me from one level, she couldn't see that I had changed. And this happens to a lot of you guys who become entrepreneurs and your family is just looking at you like, well, that's little Rudy. Not that's John, who's 6'4", 235 pounds, who runs a business. They're not looking at you. They still see the little cute you, the little friendly you. That is their perfect snapshot of you when they feel most comfortable around you. Our society has an increasing number of boys and men not raised with positive masculine role models. Oh man, that's a whole different topic, because this is one of the reasons I come up with the dominant male. Once you begin to understand that dominance is the natural order of men, and when you act dominant, when you're dominant from the core to the outside, you're just going to get better results. You're just going to get way better results. And a lot of people don't understand this. Like this conversation about Obama being nice. Obama was smooth and characteristic, but lethal in execution. You know, Obama clapped back at the media. He wasn't a nice guy. Listening to your videos for a few weeks between the videos for holding companies and business management. This is probably the best one so far. You can't get caught up in indecision, timidity, and bad habits. And this is one of the things that happens. Once again, I will speak to your background, your upbringing. That is a large, if you had a really good one, that can be responsible for all your success. If you had an uncle or a father who would sit down and talk to you in language, real sense, like tell you how life really was, these men prepared you for the future. But as Jay said, as Sean said, a lot of men don't get this. Malik Vanderpool, happens to me all the time. I'm the youngest of 4. When I give my siblings advice, they always second guess me, but I'm the one with a 7-figure business. They don't see that 7-figure business. They see little Malik. It's crazy. Obama threw journalists that angered him in jail. I don't know if you said it yet, but one big thing that will fuel someone's self-transformation is their decision to change. If they keep complaining but not doing anything, they're complacent with their life. That right there is my biggest problem with MGTOW and Red Pill members. complain, 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 complain. But we don't affect and facilitate change. This is one of the biggest problems I'll have with that movement, because there are legal remedies where you can get married, you can have a kid, and if it goes bad, she can't rape you. Legal. What's your take on the males that act dominant physically, but cannot show the same attitude mentally? Those men are cucks. They're weak. Typically, like this happened to me. There was this guy who watched the channel. He friended me on Facebook, and he got mad at the stuff that I was posting on my Facebook wall. And then he came at me one day, and he said, if you saw me in real life, talking about the physical altercation. The people who are quick to go to physical altercations are the mentally weak, because their strength, their brawn, that's all they got going for them. A mentally strong man will whip the strongest beast several times over. So those guys are punks. They're punks, man. Hollywood prep when I get to it. I've been focusing on some stuff. Mike Ely, what's the best course you offer for new people? What do you want? Wrong question. What are you interested in doing? Tell me what you're interested in doing, and I'll tell you the best course. Purpose Fit. It's hard being a woman this day and age. So many men out here who don't allow women to rest in their feminine. I don't think that it's the men that are keeping women from being feminine. A lot of women just don't know how to rest in their femininity. So once again, most men in this generation are soft. I would agree, because I have all this stuff that comes to the dominant male Facebook page. And they're getting triggered by the word dominant. This one guy, he told me that I was gay, that I needed to take the page down. Go out and get a real job. Lamar. Much respect, Uncle G. What advice would you give a young man on how to transition from one level to another? I'm kind of stuck. Watch this video. Watch this video several times from the beginning to the end, because I go into that. Barnroom pants. Probably not. Be real. This is true. The ones with the mouth are mentally weak. Malcolm X said a man fights or curse because he cannot formulate the words for his brain to express himself. Maddox, thanks about the comment about the red pill. What's up, Jenny Wall? Yeah, the red pill. This is my big problem with MGTOW and red pill. They go around and they complain. I've seen YouTube videos, like this guy did a whole video about Rihanna hitting the wall. Rihanna's worth $600 million. It makes no sense for her to date an average dude. An average dude would not fit in her world. I mean, shoot. I have problems dating women when they come to this house. They're like, whoa, this is a really nice house. And I mean, it's like the more that you have to offer financially and materially, the harder it is to pair up. Oh, I'm doing well. Jay Andre. Oh, I'm the hustling godfather. Because one of the big things that happens, with MGTOW and red pill, they go on and complain, like this whole video about Rihanna, how Rihanna's not as cute, how Rihanna hit the wall, and they were just eating it. I think this video has like 60, 70,000 views. And I'm like, which is a better discussion? Talking about Rihanna dating rich and successful men, which she gets away with, or talking about how to become the type of man that can pull a Rihanna. I like having the second conversation. How to become that type of man that can pull a Rihanna. Not talking about her female nature, because female nature is not going to change. I remember Eric Williams talking about some of these MGTOWers and red pillars complaining about women and ended up being married, but they wouldn't let their fans know. Like I said, I don't operate in that sphere. I don't talk to those guys. I pretty much stay away from them because it is beyond toxic. Because all they want to do is just whine. They don't want to seek out solutions. Purpose Fit. I feel sorry for Jeff Bezos' ex-wife. Well, not really. Who she's going to meet after Jeff? All these men on the planet are broker than her ex-husband. She has to be assured. They're broker than she is. And this is going to be a problem for her because she was living in that rarefied air and everything else is going to pale by comparison. Those kind of men are just upset because a vagina hurt them. Their mom, their ex-wives, they never learned a productive way to move past it. True. Mike Illy, start a service business. Johnny Walton, thanks for the $10 super chat. I'm starting to lose momentum. Still driving the truck, but I'm going to keep trying. Any advice? Here's something else, and I want you to start watching these videos. This is something you can do on the road. It's called wholesaling. Essentially, you find a distressed property, you convince the owner to sell it cheap, you put an assignment fee on it, then you close out. So that's something you should check out. Wholesaling. Because it's something that I'm probably going to do a little bit of. Because one of the things that you got to understand, and this is one of the tenets of the dominant man, and this is one of the things that I've learned through going through the process. Your money got to be tight. When you make more money, life gets easier and better. It just does. And that's what I found out during my first foray. And I was just like, wow, this is nice. I'm going out to dinner. I'm driving this, this nice snazzy car. My bank account fat. My wallet's fat. I got money everywhere. And that is one of the things that you've got to think about and understand, because one of the things that you need to understand about this change thing is once you cross certain boundaries, there's no going back. You can't go back to what you used to be. Those doors close once you make certain changes. Purpose Pit, do you feel it's possible for women to hustle to your magnitude and maintain their femininity? In this day and age, you can't be broke as a woman, but in order not to be broke, you can be a beast. A woman can make all kinds of money and be in her femininity. Yes. Depends on, once again, what you bring to the freelancing table. See, people ask me all the time, what kind of business is low risk, high reward, easy to get into? And there's a lot of businesses, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, you're going to have to bust it to make that business successful, regardless of what it is. And a lot of people, freelancing, if you know how to market and sell and run a business, there are freelancers out there that are going into their 20th and 30th year. Once you have the framework of how to set up a business, that's very, very important. Strippers make a lot of money in real feminine. That's something. I guess that's true. See, making money doesn't take a woman out of her feminine. If a woman knows the principles of business, there's many things like a woman has to be a hard ass, she has to be super aggressive to do well in business. This is simply not true. Depends upon the woman. Depends upon her goals, her ambition, her upbringing. How many of you have dated women who weren't born here in the United States? It's a totally different date. It's a totally different experience. So, once again, this American experience is very, very anti-successful. There's a lot of things about America: the ability to start a business, the American ingenuity, the American hustle. But there's a lot of baggage with the American dream. Polly Robinson, I'm going to sub that apparel in the fall. I'm going to set up a little shop for this stuff. So, personal change, transformation, and understanding if you're not getting the results that you want in life, you got to change. And this is very hard for people because many people why won't they come around to my way of thinking? And this is something you're going to find to be very true. You can change yourself easier than to change the opinions and mindsets of other people. So once again, you've got to understand the power of personal transformation. Because if I was the same guy I was that entered that boarding house, I wouldn't be before y'all today. I wouldn't be doing this. It's a really big thing to understand the power of personal change. The strippers are aggressively sexual, not necessarily feminine. Once again, I haven't been to a strip club in 10 years, so I don't know how they get down. But I do remember there were certain strip clubs that the girls had bullet wounds. True, people will listen to you once they see the results of your success. Absolutely. Purpose Pit M. Jim. I realized my spouse was undercharging for his expertise. He got angry and told me to stop telling him what to do. He eventually listened, up price, and attracted higher end clients. See, when you telling him something, he probably knew he was undercharging. And then when you actually said, look, boo, you're undercharging, it just made him angry. Saying, Kelly, where to find buyers for wholesale? Google, man. Google it. That's what I was thinking. So many are so aggressive, cursing with tattoos all over their body. Yeah, I will make these things available. I don't think I can read the market. Well, one of the big issues is with men and their expertise. You are on the sidelines and you can see his market better than he can. And that's a little intimidating. That's very intimidating to his male ego. Because one of the things is I had a woman I was dealing with who actually called me on my BS. And she was like, if you were really busting it, you'd be more successful. And it was simply true. So I just started working like a demon. Fester, been reinventing myself all year. It's my transformation took me a few years. See, this isn't something that's going to happen just like that. It's not going to happen. It is a process because the old you is going to keep cropping up, trying to spoil the party. Look, if you want to have kids, have kids. You know, because people think about the world, and I see people having kids, and these kids are growing up to be successful people. So, let your conscience and heart guide you with that decision. I will say, if you don't have no money, don't have no kids. Because I really hate to see that happens to these kids have to go without because their parents made bad decisions. You see that, all that working like a demon, that's cool and all, but I'm a girl. I need to maintain my looks and get my sleep. I don't have my phone on me. Or actually, let me see. Let me see if I've got that picture. Because this girl, because I know it's in his phone, I just don't know where it is. Okay. Let me see. All right. She works like a demon. She owns her own company, and she's extremely feminine. She works long hours, and she gets massages and other stuff. So you can work like a demon, and she's 50 years old. And that picture was taken last year. So you can still put in that work, man. Fester, I was a Section 8 landlord. Shit was terrible. Now I'm still designing my new life and trying things out. The mental is the problem. I landed a better job, got in shape competing in marathon, but the negative thoughts and mindset won't go away. Should I seek psychiatric help, or it's just a time thing? You need to find someone to talk to. I used to work like a demon, can't stand to find that side of myself anymore. Johnny One, women at 50 can look good. Yes, they can. So a big part of this journey is knowing what you want, because many folks don't know what they want. If you ask them what they want, they can't tell you. They're like, I want a good life. I want to be comfortable. It's all this stuff that cannot be defined. It's very flimsy. Talk about kill old you so the new you can live. And that's essentially what you're doing. You're assassinating your old self, because you got to kill it, because your old self will keep resurrecting and trying to do what it did, and you just won't get those results that you want. Therapy is so important. And this is one of the things, like anyone who's having negative thoughts or something, I'm like, find yourself someone to talk to. That's what they're here for. Your boy Rich is a hustler. All right. So let's get back. All right. So next Tuesday, we're going to have Consulting Tuesday again. This one was successful. I had a few calls today, so that you can buy that. The money management course is 06 pay, and some of these other courses, go below the video, are on payment plans to help you be successful over the long term. Give me 24 hours to add you to the course, because there's been some misunderstandings about that. Because people who like to shop at 3 a.m. and want instant access, it ain't gonna work like that. Now, if you pay full boat or catch one of the courses during the sale, yeah, then you get instant access. But then you pay in full. So that's what's going down. Everything's in the links below. Check it out. And I will see you guys later.